Mr. Matt Smith is back on the podcast. I mean, it's not my silly little office. It's on a sad little Zoom screen, but I'll take what I can get, man. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, I fondly recall always our get together with the lovely Claire Foy in my office.
Foy, yeah. She mentioned that the other day to me. I was talking to her and she said she'd spoken to you recently.
We did. We had a nice little catch up.
Yes. She's cool, the Foy, isn't she? What a cool cat she is.
She's so damn
One
cool.
of the greats. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, I was hypothesizing that our weird chat a few years ago, the three of us, was one of the weirder, sillier chats I've ever had. And I was trying to figure out if it was one of us, it was all three of us. But she was similarly off her rocker when I chatted with her. So it's not your fault. It could have been any of us.
Claire. Let's blame her. Frankly, let's blame Claire. She's the mad one. She is quite mad, actually.
Well, we like the mad ones.
Yeah, we were in quite a silly mood, weren't we, that day? I seem to recall. It was quite. It was.
You were at the end of the press tour, so I got you punch drunk in the best possible way, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you because I remember you delighted in my silliness in my office. What do you bring with you to your environs when you go travel the world making your films and TV shows? Do you bring anything cool?
I'm in my hotel now, as you can see, and no, not really. I mean, I bring Netflix with me wherever I go, and no, not much really. I'm afraid I'm not that interesting. Just
there's no creature shoes. Comfort. What about in the?
I've got some Birkenstocks that I wear with my socks, and loads of tracksuits. I'm big on tracksuits. It's all I sort of wear really. But apart from that, not a great deal. I wish I could bring my dog, frankly.
Oh, I think I got a dog in the last year. I've become that which I used to.
Did you?
Oh my God.
So did I. I've become that guy I used to. And it was a lockdown dog as well. Pathetic. What breed is your dog?
Ours is a rescue pit mix. And she is the sweetest.
Wow.
Lucy.
No way.
We're very proud of her. She just won, Matt, a Halloween dog costume contest. And again, a year ago, I would have made so much fun of what I am now.
So what did she go as?
She went as a bumblebee, obviously. I'll show you a photo. Tell me about your dog.
Show me a picture. He's called Bobby. He's an Irish Terrier. He's a lunatic, frankly. But he's cool. So pits as well, because they're quite sweet dogs, aren't they? And they get a bad press in England,
They get a bad press everywhere, honestly. But
really?
I heard everything too, and I was hesitant, but could not be a sweeter being on the planet than lovely Lucy. So how is yours brought into your life? Has it given you some sense of responsibility and newfound
absolutely.
love?
And there's a degree of structure that comes with it, isn't there? And it's forced me to be organized. Obviously, being on a film set sort of most of the time, you've got to be organized. But it's I've been sort of here filming for a few weeks now, so I miss him terribly. I'll be, in a really pathetic way, I'll run up the stairs to see him when I get back to my house.
Again, you're talking to the converted. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, whoa, you're back. It's you. And you're like, yeah, I'm back, man. Let's go for a walk so I can pick up your shit.
Yes, I do want. Wait, it's so funny you say this. I just recalled part of my conversation with Claire because she's considering getting a dog. Yeah. I don't know if she's mentioned this to you, and she's
getting one. She's gone past considering, and I've been encouraging her. I mean, she's getting one. I think it's all signed, sealed, and delivered.
I asked her, she was saying like, the problem is the picking up the poop thing, but I guess if you love it enough. And I asked her, and I apologize for this, Matt. I said, yes. You love Matt. Would you pick up his poop? Do you love him enough to pick up Matt Smith's poop? And she said, you know what? I think I do. I think I would.
Oh, good old Claire Foy. I'll take it where I can get it.
Hey, now you know, in a pinch.
I'll take it where I can get it. I'll remind her of that.
Please do. So let's get the stuff we have to do out of the way. But in this case, I love what we have to do, which is talk about Last Night in Soho. I love this movie. I love me some Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I spent some quality time with Edgar when he was here in New York recently. Talk to me a little bit about, he's the guy that's on so many actors list. Was he in The Secret Matt Smith director's list of people you were dying to work with?
100%. He was in my top 10. I ticked one of them off, you know, only 8 to go, 9 to go probably. So I, yeah, look, I you know, he's a friend of mine, but I truly think we're dealing with a sort of a generational talent. And I'm really proud that he's a British filmmaker of such high regard, high quality, but also just to spend time with him and talk to Edgar about film is sort of thrilling in itself, because I think he's seen every single film that's ever been made. I mean, you know, I looked at your list of actors and actresses that have picked their sort of comfort film, and you sort of go, I bet Edgar's seen all of them. Oh yeah, I bet he's seen every single one, you know. And even with music, there's a sort of encyclopedic, forensic, ferocious quality to investigate and digest all of that stuff. So, you know, I learned so much from him technically, but also I just think he's a bit of a film wizard, really. And I'm really proud of this film, and I'm so pleased I got to work with you.
I heard Thomason mention the other day that he gave her like a list of 50 movies to check out. Do you get the same list, a different list?
Yeah. Cool, you know, amazing 60s movies. And also he's got his list of 1,000 movies, which I would urge anyone who's listening, if you've got any time and you're ever stuck on a Sunday afternoon, and it goes from the 30s right through to present day, and each decade's got some real pearls in there. There's some great, you know, I mean, I spend my time sort of picking his brain on, like, you know, 80s movies, basically.
Totally. So let's talk about this character in particular, which we can't reveal all the secrets of this film, but Jack is mysterious, he's debonair, he's seductive, he's a little menacing. How is he described on the page, and how did Edgar describe him to you when it was presented to you?
I think you've just done him. Yeah, I think you've just done him, really. I think hopefully sort of you know, dances in all of those tropes a bit. But, you know, I mean, also he's a sort of character really from a bygone era a bit. You know, there was something interesting about when you look at Edgar's list of films that he gives you and stuff, there's a certain type of sort of actor that Jack is, I think, a bit. And, you know, those kind of boxy 60s suits. And he's done such a fabulous job of recreating London in the 60s as well. And yeah, it was nice to, you know, play a sort of villainous cad, I suppose.
It's funny because, like, now that I'm thinking about it and the kinds of roles you've done and the kinds of projects you've done, so much of what you've done is like, feels like what you imagine movie making to be, right? Like the transformation, the wardrobe, the accoutrements of the sets. Like, you've had that experience in different ways, whether it's currently doing your series you're doing now, or it's doing Doctor Who, doing The Crown. These are all like, oh wait, this is what I would imagine it is to make a movie or a TV show in the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, well, you know, I feel very fortunate to have worked on those shows. I mean, it was wonderful doing, you know, to get to play the Doctor was such a gift, really, because it's such a sort of bonkers part.
Yeah.
And you know, you know, then I was very fortunate to work with Claire, and yeah, you know, I feel I've had some luck when it comes to some really interesting projects, certainly.
Talk to me a little bit about the, you know, there's obviously the filmmaking at work here from Edgar is impeccable. It always is, but kind of what he does with the camera in this, and kind of these scenes between you and Anya and Thomason, and the camera moving around and doing these switches where Anya and Thomason have to kind of switch. It sounds like it's a ballet. It sounds like it's a dance, a choreographed dance. Are you the one, because you've described yourself to me and others as klutzy over the years. Do you feel like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be the one that's going to fuck up this beautiful master shot?
You know, because like, Anya's sort of frustratingly brilliant at everything with what seems sort of very, you know, she seems to sort of exert very little and achieve a great deal. Brilliant singer, really actually a lot of that stuff was us just hiding behind one another and sort of popping up. It looks like sort of, well, and it is, there is a degree of kind of technical wizardry going on, but also it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and you know, a bit of puff puff bang. There we are. Oh, my turn. I'm up. And then someone else is running round behind the steady cam, sort of trying to get in.
How does it feel at the end of a shot like that? Does it feel exhilarating? Like, we just did it.
Yeah, it does. And I sort of love that part of the movie. I was pleased. I was grateful for kind of Edgar for writing a dance. I thought, yes, cool. That sets me up.
Where are you at on, I mean, I was talking to Edgar about this. It's really interesting that this movie comes when it does, because we're so in this like nostalgia culture where like the 80s and 90s, which I know you and I kind of like grew up with, and we love that stuff, all being kind of rebooted and sequelized, etc. And this is kind of Edgar saying like, well, nostalgia is fine and all, but let's not romanticize too much what came before.
Yeah.
Do you have similar kind of split feelings about nostalgia?
No, I'm afraid I'm a bit of a sucker for nostalgia. I dwell and revel very much, particularly in like we're talking about the 80s. There's something, a warm, lovely fuzz that I get from watching any movie from the 80s, really. And indeed, musically in the 90s, you know, I think the 90s were just fucking great, man. I feel quite lucky that I hit that at a good age.
Right. Okay, so maybe this is a good point to get into comfort movies, since we're talking nostalgia in the best possible way. So yeah.
What's your comfort movie?
Oh man, people have been asking me this. My problem is like it's like a comfort movie for every kind of mood. Like you could go like a Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of a thing, right? Something I've seen 100 times. That's just a perfect movie. I mean, I grew up
is Raiders the one where he has the fight in the car?
Yes.
Brilliant. What a brilliant bit of filmmaking that is, by the way.
There are like 8 sequences in Raiders that are just like gorgeous, and just before you even know what filmmaking is, you know you're watching something special. So what did you think when I said comfort movie to you? Did something spring to mind in particular?
Yeah, I mean, like a few of them sprang to mind, to be honest. I mean, look, right. So I went for Indecent Proposal.
Whoa.
Yes. Yeah, man. Woody and Demi Moore just looking like $1 million, by the way. And
peak Demi Moore, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, I fucking love that film, man. And then I'm like, you know what? How about Ghost as well? Ghost is in there as well. Swayze just on fire. Thank you very much. Demi again. You know, and I was totally in love with her, to be honest.
So for those that don't know, let's brief them off the top of my head, because you're springing this on me. I believe it's Adrian Lyne directed it. I want to say it's Robert Redford, Woody Harrelson, Demi Moore, and it's this provocative kind of what if rich guy offers this couple, what is it, $1 million for one night with his wife who happens to look like Demi Moore, and they take him up on it, and the repercussions therein lead to some complications. Did I get it in a nutshell?
Yeah, exactly. That's very apt and very well done. I mean, he's playing snooker, Redford, and he's like looking all cool, looking just totally Redford. And he's like, how about, okay. And he just sort of presents him with this opportunity, $1 million for one night with your wife, just one night. Like, man, I'm thinking about it. And she gets in this amazing black dress and goes on his boat. What is she sort of, without ruining it for people who haven't seen it, is this really, I think, I don't know, this is a great love story, you know, and you're really rooting for Woody to sort of win her back, because she obviously falls for the charms of Redford, and he loses. And there's a great scene in the rain where he tries to punch Robert Redford. I don't know, it's just I'm you know, I've shown that movie to a few people. But then, you know, it could also be like, I rewatched With Nell and I the other day, and you know, that again just floored me with its brilliance. So good,
so quotable. Richard E. Grant at his best. But let's go more into the proposal, just because that's an unusual pick, I will say, given what other people have selected, because people don't necessarily go like sexy when they go for that.
Yeah.
Like, this movie came out in 93. How old were you when this came out?
God, 1993, I must have been, I was born in 82. So
Okay.
What was I, 10, 11, 12, 13? Yeah, like 13, 14.
So do you remember like it kind of awakening something in young Matt
think
Smith?
So. I mean, I think Demi awoke a lot, to be honest. But I sort of also, I loved Woody in it as well. I remember being, and Ghosts as well, to be honest with you. Maybe I watched it with my parents or something, or my sister, I don't know. It sort of does take me, I mean, yeah, my sister loves that movie. So maybe there's something in that. It's not really a family movie though, when I think about it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like one you watch with your mum and dad, is it?
No. Is it? You've never really done a movie. You've never done a movie that seems similar at all to Indecent Proposal to me. Are you itching to get into the erotic thriller part of your career?
God, I'd love to do an erotic thriller. But also, didn't they make like erotic thrillers in the 80s, which is brilliant? Single white female, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah, of course, Basic Instinct. Then you get into the Basic Instinct kind of knockoffs. There was the Madonna one, Body of Evidence. Do you remember that
Body of Evidence. There was Disclosure, Slither.
Yes.
You remember Slither? And
of course I do. Billy Baldwin and Sharon Stone.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love it.
I'm all about those movies. I'm well into them. I used to go to my local video store, which was in like a sort of old shop, and get them on VHS. And he used to let me get 18s out. He was called Raj, the guy that owned the store. And I was only young, but that's why I used to rent all these movies. Erotic thrillers.
Well, I love it. Who introduced you to movies? Like, who was like the person that was most influential in your life that kind of like helped you find your taste in movies, you think?
I don't know, Blockbuster, I think. I mean, I was a total, I was an avid watcher of films, instinctually, and this is when I was a sort of sportsman. And looking back, there was a sort of an interest in storytelling or acting, or being transported into some sort of other imaginary place, which you do as an actor, obviously, every day. But yeah, I used to, rake up a lot of fines at the local video store, because they charge you every day it was late. You get charged £3.
I got so many overcharges for videos. Like, I lost so much money. Like, it was insane. It was the worst. I was the worst.
Yeah, I'd go back and pay like $30 because I hadn't taken it back in like 10 days or something, you know what I mean? Right. And it was like, but I kind of miss Blockbuster.
Yeah. Well, there was something about,
do you know what I mean?
Strolling down those aisles for 45 minutes and kind of just figuring it out. It's not the same. I mean, I love Netflix. I love all that stuff, but we're sounding like two old men right now, but it wasn't the same.
Sadly, I am. But, and going and like that movie that you really wanted wasn't there because someone was borrowing it, and you had to go, oh, when it comes back, can I get, The Silence of the Lambs or whatever it is. Species.
I'm really learning a lot about your sexual coming of age. I feel like it's really telling. So, segueing into, okay, you're coming of age, you're finding your path. You mentioned being a sportsman. Obviously, I know that was the first love before acting. Do you remember like who the first person was that said like, you've got some talent when it comes to acting? Did you have some early validation that encouraged you?
Yeah, I had a teacher called Mr. Hardingham who was really keen on me at a drama festival, and I just didn't turn up. And then in a play, and that's a bit, I don't know, I was the football and sport, I was a bit like acting, that's just, I don't know, isn't that for girls or something? It was that sort of stupid. And then he rang my mum and was like, look, I'm doing this play called 12 Angry Men, and he's good in drama class and stuff, and I'd really love him to do it. Please, can you try and get him to come to the rehearsals? And my mum spoke to me. So it's my mum's fault, probably, and Mr. Hardingham's.
Do you remember what it felt like to be on a stage those early years? Did you find like an immediate kind of like sense of excitement?
Yeah, I did. I loved being in a theatre. I loved the dark and the backstageness of it all, and I loved the sort of. I still do love that about the theatre. It feels like you're going to war when you do a play. You know, it's why I think I'd struggle. I prefer cities that have a big theatrical culture, so I can go and get involved in that and be part of it and act in it and stuff. You know,
I was going to say I was among the many things that came about because of the pandemic. I was very much looking forward to seeing you and Claire here in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
you were going to bring Lungs over here. To my knowledge, have you ever done theater here in New York? Was that going to be your debut?
No, I was so excited to do it as well. I got a flat in Brooklyn, and I love New York. You know, I was, you know, and Claire, I was really excited to do that. And now, sadly, I think that play will probably come over and be performed maybe by two very lucky American actors. It's really great. It's a great play. It's worth a watch.
So is there, I mean, obviously, you know, we've gushed about your relationship and collaborations with Claire Foy. Do you guys plot out like 10 more two-handers that you guys could wrestle with?
I mean, I'm not sure she'd have me again, to be honest. I think she's had her fill, really. Yeah. We live really close to each other as well. So I think she can't get rid of me. But no, I mean, I'd love to work with Claire again. But she's, you know, she's off being Claire Foy, taking over the world.
You both are. Is there a specific play that you'd like to bring to the stage here in the States, in New York?
You know, it's a bit boring, but I've never done any Shakespeare. So like Richard III or, you know, maybe something like that. I'd quite like to do a bit of Shakespeare in New York. I don't know why, but I've always thought, oh yeah, it could be fun. And there's a cool theatre, I think, down near the Bowery, which I always walk past and think that looks kind of interesting. So maybe one, and I kind of like it down there. I think that's where I live.
Definitely. Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. Yeah, I got you. So
where do you live?
I'm in bustling Midtown. So I grew up in the city. So I've lived in every part of Manhattan at this point. And I'm not cool enough to pull off downtown anymore. I'm just not. I just can't do it.
Why not? So Midtown, what is that? Is that a less cool sort of zone?
Midtown is good. Well, I grew up on the Upper West Side, so I'm like within walking distance from where I grew up and where my mom still is. So gotta keep it close to mom. I'm centrally located. I can get everywhere. I've got Central Park 2 blocks away. Good for Lucy the dog. I have no complaints. I'm happy.
Perfect. Yeah. And you wouldn't. I have to say, if I lived in the city, I'd want to live in Manhattan.
Oh yeah. I mean, we looked at Brooklyn a couple of years ago, and it would have been delightful. But I'm you know, I think I'm gonna live and die here in Manhattan. I think this is where I am.
Man. Cool. So that's you. You never go to LA.
I was gonna ask you, like I've never lived in LA. I have family out there, and I obviously go out there for work quite a bit. What is your relationship to the States? Like early on, when you were starting to get some notoriety, you must have come to LA and New York. And what was your goal or hopes? Like, did you want to stake a claim there in the beginning?
Yeah, I did actually. And then I did, you know, part of me wishes I still might, you know, I think everyone should live in New York once. You know, isn't in that song about sunscreen? What's it called? Check it out. Check out that song. He's like, "Wear sunscreen."
Oh yeah.
In New York City.
Yes, exactly.
But leave before it makes you hard. Live in LA once, but leave before it makes you soft.
Right.
So you know, and I mean, I first came to New York when I was on the sort of promotional trail for Doctor Who. It was me and Karen Gillan and Arthur. And we just had it was like we were like in Oz or something. We just could not believe our luck. And we just went out and got smashed and did all our press and just, you know, we had the best time. I have such fond memories of that period with Karen. So, you know, maybe one day, maybe I'll, you know, hopefully a play.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm nodding a
Josh?
lot only because you keep going in and out a little bit. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's
sorry,
okay.
man.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So prior to Doctor Who, here's something I came upon. Is it true that you were in Martin McDonagh's In Bruges and didn't sadly make the final cut? Was that a blow to poor young Matt Smith? What happened?
Yeah, it was, but he's such a cool guy, Martin, that he wrote me a letter on squared paper, and it was handwritten, and he was like, "Oh man, you know, I'm sorry." But the truth is, I played a young Ralph Fiennes, and it's like when you watch the movie, and the scene was me going in and sort of cutting someone's head off when he was younger in a police station. And the truth is, you know, Rafe gave such a consummate, brilliant performance. You just didn't. There was no way of making him any madder because Rafe just nailed it, didn't he? But yeah, you know, it was sadly I didn't make the final cut, but I was just because I love Rafe. He's one of my favorite actors.
Oh,
so
sure.
it was. Yeah,
he's a rite of passage for any actor. Any actor worth his salt has to be cut at some point, right?
You've got to cut. You've got to be cut out of something, haven't you?
Now, speaking of that, I have rumor control for you. One thing that I have not gotten to the bottom of, Matt. What happened? Yeah. There was an announcement you were going to be in the Rise of Skywalker. Matt, did you ever shoot any Star Wars scenes? What happened?
No, I didn't. There was, we were close to me being in it, but then it just never quite happened. I think the thing they were thinking of me for, eventually the part became, it became obsolete and they didn't need it. And so I never got to be in Star Wars. There we are.
Wait, what? Here's conjecture. Was this Palpatine's son? Was that who you were playing?
I could not possibly say. But it was a pretty groovy thing. It was a really groovy part and concept. It was pretty big. It was a big thing. It was like a big story detail, like a transformative Star Wars story detail. But it never quite got over the line.
No, I can't deal with this. I'm gonna have nightmares about this now.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was a big shift in the history of the franchise.
I need you to stop talking. You're getting me angrier every successive word.
I know. It's there we are.
Did you ever get into like costume? Was there a costume test? Like how far along did you get?
There was no costume. There were a couple of meetings to talk about it. And
the good part is you still have your Star Wars eligibility card, so it's a long career.
Well, maybe I can come back. You never know. I mean, if God, to come back is that like.
This is the worst. Yeah. This is the worst possible time for the phone to cut out. Just so you know, the worst possible time.
Oh God, I hope. Sorry, it's because I'm in Spain and the internet's really shoddy in our hotel in the middle of Caracas. Sorry, my friend.
That's okay. Speaking of Spain, another thing you can't discuss, but we're very excited for you. You're embarking on a huge new adventure. The Thrones universe came calling.
Yes.
Was this is this a no-brainer of a thing when it comes around? It's just too good a thing to pass up. Like, what was enticing about this when this started to be talked about?
Well, it's a really good part of the sort of interesting and dark and disturbed part to play, I think. And I thought, it'd be interesting to try on a blonde wig as well, all that, and fly on some dragons and get involved in some sword fights.
Yeah, how are the dragons treating you? How's
Caraxes is pretty good. He's big and red and angry.
I mean, that's the way you like your dragons, right?
He is. He's a really angry dragon. Mine's the angriest. Mine's the angriest of all the dragons. There is no angrier dragon than Caraxes. He's a real moody bastard.
Look, if you're going to have a dragon, you don't want the sedate, chill dragon. You want the badass dragon.
No, it's sort of like my dog. You want it with a bit of pep and personality, don't you?
Is there? I would imagine on a set like this, there are two ways to feel: like an immense pressure because you're succeeding Game of Thrones, or no pressure because everybody is going to be there and ready to receive you. Is it a little bit of column A and column B, or like what's the attitude of? being in something of this scale?
Well, of course it's both. Yeah, it's definitely both, Josh. Yeah, because obviously, you know, it's impossible for this show to ever really succeed in the way Thrones did. Thrones became a sort of cultural phenomenon for many people, and you know, it's never ever going to quite scale those heights in the same way, because that was its own unique thing. You know, whether people are ready to receive it or not, who knows? You never know. But we you know, we sort of make it in earnest, and we try our best to deliver something that is, you know, an entertaining world with dragons and sword fights.
And a hell of a cast too, I might add.
Great cast.
Speaking of great casts, I've just watched today the latest trailer for Morbius.
Yes, I've got to see that. I've not seen it yet, because it came out today, didn't it?
It just came out. Look, it looks great. Not enough Matt Smith in the trailer. I'm just going to say it right now, Matt.
Yeah, that's what my friend texted me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I saw Morbius. You're not in it." Damn, really? He's like, "Are you actually in this movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got loads of stuff in it."
Oh no, you've been in Bruges again. Same thing. Oh no.
Well, no, actually, I've not, because I've seen it. So I've definitely not been in Bruges. I'm in there. So I don't know why I'm not allowed to be in the trailer. Blimey. Well, that's good though. That's exciting. It's I love, you know, it's sort of going back to the sort of movie, comfort movie thing. Lost Boys was floating around there as well, and Interview with a Vampire was floating around there as well. I love classic vampire movies.
Who's more eccentric, you or Jared Leto? You both have different eccentricities, I would say.
I'm gonna go with Jared. I'm gonna go with Jared. He's pretty out there, man. He's cool though. I like Jared.
He's cool. He's too cool for me. I'm intimidated. Something about your coolness. Cool, your coolness I can handle in a weird way. I don't know why. I think it's a nerdy cool. He's just too cool for school. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, he's Gucci cool, isn't he?
He's Gucci cool.
It's a rare breed.
Are you referring to the movie? Have you seen him in that trailer for Gucci? That's insane.
I haven't seen that. I'm looking forward to that. A bit of Ridley, a bit of Gucci. Yes, sign me up.
So was this one an easy one to say yes to? Because you've been rumored for other comic book properties over the years. Have there been ones that have been tempting, and what made this the one to jump at?
Vampires.
I
love vampires. Like, vampire movies are right up there with my favorite movies. And sort of, you know, because there's a touch of the sort of erotic thriller about them, which we've discovered today, Josh, is my sort of niche. I've always wanted to, you know, be a vampire in my life. But so, you know, as I can't do that, the idea of playing one was just really thrilling. And obviously Jared is a fantastic actor, and I really liked the director, Daniel. And so, you know, those sort of four elements, I thought, yes, let's do this. So
are you just starting on Thrones right now, or is this the next like year of your life? What's the...
No, we've been doing it since March, and I finish in January. It's tough. It's a long shoot.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's. I mean, you by now you know the ebbs and flows of a long shoot. Like, what are your coping mechanisms to kind of like keep yourself? We talked in the beginning of like you don't bring the creature comforts with you. So how do you stay sane over a year of a shoot? Have you figured it out yet?
Get a dog.
Get a dog.
Is sort of page one for me.
But leave the dog at home.
Well, when I'm in Spain, I mean, I nearly bought him, but then I was a bit like, you know, the idea of putting him in the hold felt a bit.
No.
I mean, has your dog got on a plane yet?
No. She's too big. Yeah, she can't do it.
Really? I mean, because if I came to do a play in New York or something, I'd have to bring the dog. It's like, you've got to be really fucking organized, haven't you? It's like, oh, no, I can't do that because I've got a dog. So, you know, that kind of thing. I watch a lot of The American Office, which I love.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's sort of, it's like a friendly sort of background. And I don't know, really, you know, you just slog through, man.
Well, it's interesting. You just a belated happy birthday to you. It wasn't a momentous one.
Thanks, dude.
but we're getting to the end of the happy-go-lucky times. Now responsibility in the form of the dog, in form of a big number, we're growing up together. We're gonna just have to learn responsibility, I suppose, at some point.
I know. Like, when the fuck did that happen?
I know. Not to end this conversation on a bummer note, but just
it's like, I'm fucking 40 next year, man. Like, what the actual fuck?
Look, next year, turn 40, celebrate in New York, bring the dog, we'll all party, my dog, your dog, bring Claire along.
Yes.
She'll pick up your poop if you need to go somewhere.
Yeah, I'll get a reminder about that.
Please do.
Wow.
It's always good to catch up with you, man. I'll let you go just because the connection is kind of shitty, but hopefully we've spread the good word on Last Night in Soho. I honestly adore this one, and it gave me a good excuse to catch up with you, man. I hope you're well.
Yeah, it's really nice to catch up and talk to Josh. And listen, man, when I'm in the NYC, let's link up. Big love, bro.
Please do. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
See ya.
Bye.